We live? Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Yes, yes, y'all. And you don't stop. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hotep History Live Show with your host, President Hotep Dubes. Sorry for the tardiness. I was in the middle of the archives for a particular person, and I didn't want to muddy the two. Um, give that person the proper time of my researching and stuff like that. I'm coming towards the end of it. He actually put me onto a dope task, so I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys, of course, tapping in with me. Let me send the smoke signal out, making sure that people know that I'm online and that we doing this thing. You feel me? Hope everybody is having a blessed evening. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I did. Super, super dope. Uh, so I just gotta, do a couple house cleaning things and all of that, making sure that we are out here, making sure that we are sharing with the people. You dig what I'm saying? And yeah, man. I know it's random. I know it's sporadic. You're gonna have to just bear with me. My schedule is all over the place throughout the week. I could be doing anything at any time in any place. So, thank you guys for tapping in. Um, I have been I've been troubled a little bit, chat. I've been troubled a little bit. Um, One of the things that I've been thinking about is like, damn son, like you know how the meme of like the CIA won. There's certain times, chat, that I ain't gonna lie, that I get discouraged when I look around and stuff like that. I don't get all the way disenchanted and disheartened, but there are certain aspects, man, of American life, Black American life, to be specific, that I'm just like, nah, man. And I'll keep it all the way to 100 with y'all, man. Like I know how I feel about a lot of this stuff just being as a result of us not knowing our history, and then that lack of knowing of our history kind of breeds a particular narrative about our history and ourselves and stuff like that, which then lends to or give credence to bad behavior that we see. And I want everybody to know I'm not sitting here saying, I'm not indicting the entire, group or the entire demographic, because I'm a Black American man and I don't commit crimes on a daily basis. I don't terrorize my community. I don't do any of those things. But just through the conversations that I'll be having with people, whether it be on spaces, in real life, phone conversations, text messages, you name it. Not to mention just reading the discourse online about particular things, man. And I truly believe that the issues that we have are largely cultural, and I know that this argument has also been echoed in certain non-Black American spaces and stuff like that. And I just wanted to touch on that real quick. It's all right. So there has been a thing that's consistent lately, that if you are speaking out against specific bad behavior that's coming out of your own backyard, and there may be a non-black person, doesn't even necessarily be white, but a non-black person or a non-black American person who agrees with you, you are somehow now perpetuating and pushing the ideologies of white supremacy. And again, when it comes down to the accountability part, that is what I have an issue with. So when it comes down to these people, because that's another thing that I'm going to hold myself accountable for. Instead of saying y'all, because y'all are the ones who are watching and making, even having it come across that I'm talking about the people who would agree with what I'm saying, I'm going to start saying these people or those people, because I don't believe you watching this are of the ilk of these people. Now, if you are, then the shoe is going to fit and you should wear it. When it comes down to the culture, I tell y'all all of the time uh, where it comes from, how it was made, and what it's made of. And we talk about how culture is the byproduct of ethos, which is, of course, your core morals, values, ethics, and beliefs. Now, I am aware that there are going to be different uh, ethos across Black America. They're going to be Black American Muslims, Black American Christians, Black American Buddhists, Black American atheists, whatever it is. They're going to be different ethos for different groups. However, if your ethos is making excuses or accepting of objectively degenerative behaviors, you are, to me, inherently anti-Black. When we start saying the things like, white supremacy, right? White supremacy, the way that it's framed as it pertains to Black Americans, because there's other framings as it pertains to Jewish people, Hispanic people, Latinos, Asian people, Arab, it's different strokes for different folks as it pertains to white supremacy. But as it specifically pertains to Black Americans, it's basically the full-on destruction of Black people in America. And all of the mechanisms, devices, avenues, methods, and techniques to that end. So there were things like, the obvious stuff like mass incarceration and, all of these different things that, redlining, unjust policing, police brutality, unfair, unfair loans, and, all of these different things that are coming from an external party or third party that is only meant for our destruction. And I agree. Now, I wouldn't call it white supremacy just because that's not the type of person that I am. But if that's what you want to call it, whatever, have at it. Now, when it comes to the way I operate, it's not even so much of operating in absolutes, but I have to be consistent. See, me, I'm against degeneracy no matter where it comes from. Now, don't get me wrong, when it comes to like my entertainment and stuff like that, I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't listen to gangster rap or gangster movie or watch gangster movies or whatever. I do. I ingest that entertainment and I have my own theory on how that should be treated. But I get, where it comes from and all this other stuff. But when it comes to the actual behaviors and actions that are being put forth in particular areas, I 100% disagree with that, and I don't make any excuses for it. Okay, I also don't make any excuses for the people that make it worse that are not from the community, the police that make it worse, the politicians that make it worse, any and everybody that makes it worse. You are all being, held accountable from me. I don't make excuses. I don't make excuses for any of these people at all, and I won't ever. So for me, I always am kind of confused when these same people that will tell you about the ills and the perils of white supremacy will also still want you to, in some way, shape, or form, participate in it. And if you are going to participate in it, you want to get the most promotions, the most money, the most clout, the most benefits from this. So on one hand, white supremacy is this, all-encompassing, thing to destroy us. But then you still don't have the trust inside Black America to supply your wants and needs, or even the ability to. So it's not even to say that, like when the Target boycott first happened, there were people saying that, I'm not boycotting Target because this is one of the only stores in my area and there are not enough Black American businesses to provide the essentials, to provide the needs, your toothbrushes, your toothpaste, your towels, your sheets, your textiles and stuff like that. And I can see that, but I will say that there are Black American manufacturers in this country. There are. You do have to look for them much harder than you would have to look for your nearest Target, but they do exist. And so when it comes to these people who fly the flag of being anti-white supremacy, which, of course, who wouldn't be with somebody who was against the people who are trying to destroy you? I'm with that. But when it's now time to put your money inside Black American financial institutions, make concerted efforts to make sure you're putting your money behind Black American businesses, establishments, and institutions, making sure that you are holding yourself and others around you that you care about accountable. Basically doing all of the things that Black Americans were doing up, pretty much every day up until a certain point. Some people point to integration, the late 60s, after the civil rights movement, when cultural Marxism starts coming in a little bit more, to where now the ideology goes from being producers to being consumers, and then relying on the government or holding the government to a particular standard to supply your wants and needs. And personally, me, I've always been a limited government type of person, even before I even knew what that actually was in conception. You dig what I'm saying? I was never a pro-government person. However, my entire thing is, it's like, how is it that our ancestors got us to this point by doing all of the things that I espouse all of the time every day? I'm a Black American traditionalist. I 100% laud and revere the way our ancestors behaved and did things. Now, that's not to say that everybody back then did everything that I agree with. There were people that I disagree with. We had a whole stream the other night where we was kicking W.E.B. Du Bois's back in. Did not agree with him. There were certain things that I did, but some things that I didn't. So it's not to say that there was some type of perfect utopia going on in Black America, but the culture was intact. In the same way that we talk about how the families were intact in Black America all through slavery, all through the Black codes, Jim Crow, all of these different things, the Black family was able to stay intact up until the 1970s. It's the same thing culturally. There wasn't too much deviation away from decency culturally. So you had your salacious music, and your speakeasies, and you had your gambling, you had your drinking, you had things that could be considered a little bit rough around the edges, or just a little bit left of polite society, just a little bit, but there was still a structure there. Now we are in a space to where you have Black people excusing just objectively bad behavior from other Black people based upon racial solidarity, racial uniformity, not wanting to come off as anti-Black or an Uncle Tom or self-hating. Now the definition of being pro-Black or anti-white supremacy is now accepting Black America for all of its faults, all of its flaws, all of the things that are clearly a detriment to the people. And if you were to go off that script, you're now off code, or you're anti-Black. And that's the disheartenment that I'm having, or the disenchantment that I'm having right now. I'm personally tired of debating other decent people about indecent people. I 100% understand that there are going to be people who are being raised in a particular area, and their upbringing, the adults around them, are not necessarily teaching them the right thing. I am not going to sit here and make excuses for those adults. What's going on, Glasgow? Welcome. I'm not going to necessarily make excuses for those people. I am going to do my best to understand, but there does come to a point to where it's like, yo, you are an adult, you have a child or children, and you're not perpetuating anything positive, or the bulk of what you're perpetuating is negative. I had a conversation on Spaces earlier with my brother Rashad. Shout out to my boy Rashad. And we were having a similar conversation to what we had when we were talking about the Trap Law Ross, Adam 22, and that relationship between the gangsters and the rappers and the gangster rappers, and how that has now have a predatory relationship. And I agree that the relationship is predatory to a degree. However, to absolve the people who are going on to these shows, to absolve the people who are making this music, to absolve the people who are exhibiting these behaviors is not something I'm going to do. And I truly believe that because of how the historical narrative and the contemporary narrative has been presented to Black Americans over the past 60, almost 70 years, I do think that plays a major part. I was telling them about the bigotry of low expectations and how during the Trump and Hillary race, there were Democrats and liberals who were saying, as a response to Republicans and conservatives requiring ID to vote, you had Democrats and liberals saying things like black people don't know how to get an ID. Black people don't have access to IDs. And that is simply the bigotry or racism of low expectations. They don't have high expectations or even adequate expectations for black Americans. They look at black Americans as this pitiable, pathetic, second class demographic. And the reason why they do that is, first of all, they need to be able to get as many votes as possible, as many donation dollars to their coffers as possible, and to keep you in a particular mind state so you can always continually support them. And I'm not saying that this is just exclusive to Democrats, because Republicans do it too, but it's a fact that 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 black Americans are going to vote Democrat, unfortunately. So the political relationship is going to largely be Democrat. Okay, it's not absolving Republicans, because I don't think that they're, that much greater anyway. However, at present, these are Democrat issues. These are left-leaning liberal issues. That's what's going on in the black American communities. You dig what I'm saying? And these people who are running your cities, your states, your districts, your municipalities, and all that other stuff, they don't believe you have the wherewithal, the knowledge, or the common sense to go out and get an ID. And this type of perception of black America permeates through all politics. And then, of course, it trickles down to education and trickles down to social things. And now when it comes down to just objectively bad behaviors like crime, violent crime, not just talking about non-violent drug offenders, because that's a similar but different issue. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're now missing the mark. Now, instead of us holding the external people who are corrupt, like corrupt politicians, corrupt police officers, police chiefs, you name it, and holding them accountable, and also holding the criminals accountable. Now, to hold a criminal accountable without even mentioning white supremacy is now considered anti-black. And again, this is not something that we as a people, as an ethos, no matter what your beliefs were religiously, no matter what your beliefs were politically, nobody stood for this type of stuff. Okay, there were black Democrats and black Republicans in the 20s and the 30s, and if you were to ask either party, do you agree with the way that crime is being doled out into this community? They would tell you no, because they were against it. It's too often now that we have people who are championing the bad behavior. Some people will say it's in rebellion to white supremacy, like when we get into those riots, right? Somebody gets killed by the police or something like that, and now that apparently means you should go around your community burning shit down. You dig what I'm saying? And then you'll have people defend that and say, well, they're insured, or they're a product of white supremacy anyway. They're an arm of white supremacy, so it doesn't matter. We don't own any of these things. And it's like, yo, you do understand that these places are actively employing the people that live in this community. Like, you're harming the local GDP, your local GDP. You dig what I'm saying? You're harming your local economics in the name of toppling whatever, or dismantling whatever system or white supremacy that you see fit. And what I'm saying is that's backwards. And we have gone now in the 21st century completely off the reservation. And I said in the last stream, and I'm going to continue to say, it's not that there are people who are above rehabilitation and they're just so beyond it. There are going to be people who are able to be, quote unquote, saved, or they'll be able to save themselves. But we cannot kid ourselves and act like there isn't a criminal or degenerate element in our communities that we do need to respond to. There are too many innocent people dying, too many innocent victims in all of these things. You know, where babies are getting caught in the crossfire, where old ladies' houses are getting shot up, where black owned businesses are being robbed. Like we have to take a stand and be against it. But what happens is, because we are already anti-police or we're anti-establishment, which is cool to an extent, you dig what I'm saying? We are now going completely the opposite way to where we're essentially aiding and abetting criminals, and we're getting too far away from what our teachings were. The old lady on the porch, right? She never accepted it, the crime, the wrongdoing, the mischievous things that we was getting into. She told us, hey, you better stop. You know, there were people in the community that always stood on their morals, values, and beliefs. And that is what largely helped remind the kids, including me, who are out there running the street doing nonsense, that, yo, there is a difference between right and wrong. There is an alternative to what you are doing. We have gone so far off the reservation to where we don't even have that anymore, or not as much of it. And like I said, I'm tired of having these debates with other decent people, other people who are not committing crime in the community, other people who come from these same places who did not indulge in the degenerative behaviors, tell me that I am, you know, wrong for standing against it. I stand against it all. I stand against corrupt police, corrupt government, corrupt politicians, and I'll also stand against corrupt criminals. I stand against all of it because all of it is a detriment to the community. And there are too many things now that have negatively affected our communities for me to keep blaming white people or keep putting the responsibility at the feet of external parties, regardless of race. It has to be Black Americans. There is no savior coming. Nobody is coming to save anybody. It's all going to be down to you and your actions, your whatever you are going to do, your behavior. Everybody that I know who grew up in the hood, who grew up in tumultuous areas and high crime areas and were able to make it out, they made it out because of their own abilities, on their own merit, whether it was a scholarship, whether it was them being a steward with their money, whether it was, going to school and getting a trade, or going to school and getting a degree, like whatever it was on their own volition that they were able to positively affect their lives. The government didn't come and save them. A white man didn't randomly come and save them. No, they had to get up off their behind and make it happen for themselves. And that's what I'm saying that we need to start promoting more and more. But then you'll have people again on the other end of this argument telling me that, oh, you're just promoting bootstrapism and you're just you're neglecting to acknowledge the role that white supremacy plays in all of this. And it's like, yo, fam, what do you want me to do in regards to that? If I am interfacing with my community who was going through whatever they're going through, high crime, poverty, and all these other things, and I'm making sure that I'm making a concerted effort to offer solutions to these people, whether it be financial literacy, whether it be understanding history, whether it be giving you different avenues that you can go down as a resource. So I talk about Simone Bees all of the time. Shout out to Bees. She has an entire ecosystem of people who are learning to get into government tech right now to at very little cost. She currently has a video now where she was talking about how you can get into tech without any experience. So she's on a molecular level doing her part to get as many people who may not have ever heard about government tech into tech. So again, these people, all of us, are applying solutions, not only in our own lives, but then sharing them with other people. And that's the reason why I shout out Maj Toure, King Randall, Sonny Johnson, Simone Bees, Hotep Nation. Like I shout all of these different people and institutions out because they're all solution based. They're all for the betterment of the people who get into it. So again, it's not like I'm just sitting here in my ivory tower just judging the ghetto. No, I understand the day-to-day plight of what's going on in the trenches. I do. I lived in it. I lived in high crime areas for a very large percentage of my life. So trust and believe I understand, but I don't sympathize with violent criminals. I may have when I was younger, in my teenage, my adolescence, maybe even my early 20s. But no, as a 35-year-old, man right now, something like, no, there's no way that I can sympathize with a violent criminal. Nah, man, I'm good on that. That doesn't sit right with my spirit. It doesn't. Me morally, ethically, I can't do that. I can't. To sympathize for somebody who has absolutely no problem taking the life of somebody, and not care if they're innocent people who die along the way, not care about the consequences of their actions. Nah, no. I told y'all, boot camp for the people. But again, I know what I know, and I'll never be, in my mind, ever be considered anti-black, but I understand the sentiment. This is what people think. So I gotta be able to stand on my square, and I always do, against the things that I'm against and laud the things that I, revere and appreciate. So that is what this episode is about today. This episode is to double down, reaffirm, and show you guys the type of things that I actually appreciate that's going on in the 21st century. Because I don't want it to ever come across that these streams or my scholarship or anything like that is to simply be like, yo, it was so much better 100 years ago. Because that'd be insane. I'm more so bringing back the ethos. That's what I really am going into yesteryear to bring to the 21st century, is the ethos, man. The way that we just viewed the world, each other, and what we can get out of it. I don't like that our ancestors had a lot more optimism than we do, and we have some of the most insane technological advances that mankind has ever seen. If you go look at the picture of the original, like the first computer, it took up an entire room. And now that same computing power, it has been able to be in your phone. So again, we have made great strides as a society for sure. But when I look at the ethos along with the technological advances have changed so much that, again, the ancestors and the things that they did and the things that they behaved are so unrecognizable that when somebody, a modern Black American man like myself, starts to repeat and espouse the things that the ancestors were saying, you have other Black American people tell me that I'm being anti-Black, that I'm operating under respectability politics, that I'm trying to placate to white people, or I'm trying to impress white people. And God forbid if there is a white person that agrees with the things that I'm saying, I'm 100%. They'll tell me that look at the people that are agreeing with you. Look at the white people that are agreeing with you. And it's like, okay, a white person agrees with me. If a white person agrees with you, are you now some type of tool for white supremacy? Like, again, when it comes down to like the Black communists, right? Are your white communists, quote unquote, allies white supremacy? Or is that just the white people that you ascribe that to, that you say, oh, you guys are white supremacists? Like, why isn't the white supremacy in any of the areas that you enjoy? That's my thing. That's what bugs me out. Like, but we're going to get to the stuff that I like in just a second, chat. But that is what bugs me out. How is it that the things that you enjoy that was created, owned, controlled, perpetuated by white people is never white supremacy? And a lot of the times it be like an objectively, or I'm going to say, yeah, an objectively a bad thing. You see what I'm saying? So it's like when it comes down to, I don't know, when people be bragging about Don Julio and spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on bottles of Don Julio, y'all ain't got no issues then with white supremacy or white people or giving your money to white people. When Popeyes comes out with the latest chicken sandwich or whatever, or does a collaboration with Don Julio, these people don't have an issue with quote unquote white supremacy then. when it's time to shop at white-owned businesses and that sell things that you enjoy, whether it be European designer or I don't know something that's an iPhone. Like white supremacy doesn't come up when you copping your new iPhone. White supremacy doesn't come up when you're walking in and out of H&M and Forever 21, Banana Republic, or when you go into these malls, period. When you're putting your hard-earned money into these white establishments, how come that's not white supremacy? That's the thing that bugs me out. How come it's only white supremacy when you don't like it? That's my only thing. Because if that same white person, like we talked about last night or the other night on Saturday, if those same white people were to look out for you, you wouldn't call it white supremacy anymore. So while I'm over here standing on my moral square saying that, yo, I'm focused on black Americans first and foremost, and that's good and bad. So when it's time for me to talk about the great things like I am going to do on this stream, I'm only holding black Americans accountable for the great things that they did. I'm not saying, oh, a white man made them do it, the government made them do it, the system made them do it. No, they are great people and they're achieving great things on their own merit, on their own volition. And I'm consistent when it comes down to the bad behavior. There was no boogeyman telling you to get that gun. There was no white man coming out of nowhere telling you to sell the drugs or rob the people or kill the people or do any of those things. Nah, this is what you wanted to do. Life is all about choices, chat. Life is all about choices. You have them. You have them. You have the ability to wake up and do the most heinous thing that you can think of. And you also have the choice to do the most benevolent, dope, positive thing that you can. And there are too many hardworking, positive people who are breaking their backs to help the community, who are making the choice to do right every single day, to then now make excuses for people who do the complete opposite. No, I'm not having that. You have to be able to remain consistent in your ethos. Otherwise, you don't have one. You don't have a moral compass. If depending on the person who did it, you now waver. No, it has to be consistent. It has to go across the board. That's why morals are why they are. That's what makes morals morals. If your morals are now subject to change based upon the person who's perpetrating a particular activity, then that's not morals, bro. That's not morals. Being selectively outraged when a white person does it, but not have that same type of outrage when somebody in your own backyard, somebody in your own community does it, it's inconsistency that I can't get with. And if that makes me a white supremacist in your eyes, then I'm fine with that. Because when it's time to big up black Americans for doing dope shit, I'm the first one there. I'm the first one to share it. I'm the first one to big it up. I'm the first one telling as many people as possible that we need to be replicating this stuff all throughout the country. So I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. And so I just want to go through a couple people and shout them out and you know, put them on y'all radar. I'm almost 100% sure that these people are already on your radar, but we're gonna go through them anyway. This is gonna be a short stream tonight, chat. I have plans this evening or tonight. So first up is my brother King Randall. Shout out to King Randall, and hopefully the Clippers find these different people and clip this up. So King Randall is the owner and operator of the school, the X School for Boys in Albany, Georgia. It's nonprofit, so he's relying on your donations to be able to keep the school up and running. He's doing an amazing job. And one of the things that I appreciate about King Randall is that he's not one of those people that I tell you about, like the W.E.B. Du Bois, who wants to be the leader of all black people. He doesn't even care about the rest of the state of Georgia. Like, he's worried about Albany. And once he gets Albany down pat, or he has, you know, secured the funding and the resources for Albany and the boys and girls in Albany, then I'm sure he'll think about Macon or Atlanta or wherever else in Georgia or Savannah. But right now, he's focusing on Albany, and he has his ups and downs, trials and tribulations and whatnot, but he's doing amazing work. He started doing this when he was in his 20s. And or was it his late teens? Was he 19 when he first started? I'm pretty sure King Randall, he has it on his page. But like, yo, I'm extremely proud of King Randall, man. So let's tap in with him and see what he got to say. And then let's see.
But it's going to cost us 200 miles. And I'm you the new 5-year plan to scale our vision. Back in 2022, many of you saw me live on the roof of our school for 2 months in the blazing heat to raise $1 million. Now we're going to raise $10 million, but it's going to cost us 200 miles. And I'm personally going to walk those 200 miles from the city of Albany, Georgia, all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, in order to scale our vision. So let me show you what we're going to do with $10 million. So one of the first things we thought about for our school was, where did we make mistakes? How did we go wrong? And one of the things we didn't think about was generating revenue for our school. Our school for the past 5 years has been running exclusively off of donations. So we decided to conduct a study for this neighborhood, and we also acquired this building. What do we plan to do with this building? We plan to open a laundromat. This laundromat could service this entire area. We did a study, and there's no laundromat within a 3 to 4 mile radius. And many of these homes out here do not have washer and dryer, so many people are hand washing their clothes. So we wanted to create something mutually beneficial for this neighborhood. It would benefit us as well as benefit our school, provide jobs for single parents, and also provide some jobs for our students, because we believe in work. We have to be able to take care of our students, get them haircuts, take care of them, get them food, etc. And revenue is one of those ways that we're going to be able to do that. Growing up, my mom did foster care my entire life. She was a foster parent for as long as I can remember. And I always said growing up, as I heard so many stories about the horrors happening in group homes with all these foster children, I knew that I wanted to do something about it as I got older. Behind me is my boyhood home. This is where I grew up here in Albany on South Street. And we want to turn this into a group home for boys. Not only will this be a group home, this will be a safe haven, a way for our students to get away and learn, a way for our students to become a man, and a way for our students to get what they've been yearning for in life. We want to take time with this group home to not only generate revenue for our school, but also allow these boys to attend the school and get everything that they need. So many boys are being mistreated in these group homes, and we want to do something about it. So right now at our current school building, we've focused on a lot of different things that have happened here, a lot of negative things, but we want to go into the positive. Yes, we've been vandalized. Yes, things have happened, but we want to turn this now into a multi-purpose space, a space that'll generate revenue for us, that'll provide jobs again for the families of our students, and provide jobs for our students themselves. We want to turn this into a photo shoot space, podcasting space. People could rent out our church. People could rent out our gym, our basketball gym, our cafeteria, etc. We have many different things that people could do at our school because it's a big space. It's 41,000 square feet, and there's endless opportunities for people here to be able to do something with it. This is one of the big ideas we have for our current school building right now. So back in 2021, we purchased 40 acres.
Well, let's just finish up.
Of land here in our hometown. And some people like to say dream big, but I like to dream massive, because what's too big for God? So on this 40 acres, we want to build what will be the new Life Preparatory School for Boys campus. Not only do we want to build a campus here, we also want to build housing for our students on this same campus, because we want one singular area for our students to be able to call their safe haven. We're going to need your help. We're going to need you to like, share, comment, donate, visit theexforboys.org, send an email, send a text, call a friend, and tell them about the good work that's going on here in the city of Albany. We want to become the blueprint for what schooling should look like here in the USA. We want to become the blueprint for what boys should be learning and how to become masculine young men. So again, we need your help to make this happen. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.
Man, thank you, King Randall. Nah, real talk. Real talk. When I talk about history and all of this other stuff, everything, I'm talking about every word that he said. I'm pretty sure that I can make an amalgamation of different articles, different books of our ancestors saying the same exact thing. And look at this. This man is building institutions, for-profit institutions to fund the non-profit institution, to make sure that the X for Boys school grows. He's about to walk from Albany, Georgia to Atlanta to raise $10 million in that pursuit. And what I'm here to say to y'all is this is exactly what I be talking about. exactly what I am talking about. We need more Black American institutions that are being created for the furtherance, progression, advancement of Black Americans, especially our youth. Especially our youth. And King Randall is the embodiment of this. And it's not just him, but we're focusing on him right now. I'm extremely proud to have somebody like King Randall in my social network. I'm extremely proud to see all of the things that he's accomplishing, and I'm extremely proud to be a donor for the school because I believe in this vision. If you guys are so inclined, make sure that you donate to King Randall's initiative, his school. He needs it. We need this because he clearly has a bigger vision. I said this going into his page that he's been laser focused on Albany. But now with the success that he's been seeing over the past few years with the school in Albany, it's clear that he wants to expand. And it only makes sense that he should. And we need to be getting behind him because, again, going back to the ancestors, now we've seen figures adjusted for inflation reach $10 million when it comes to community things. It is absolutely possible right now for Black Americans to get that $10 million up. And if we're talking about the historical context, adjusted for inflation, right? So adjusted for inflation is in the reverse. I would think just my historical estimate, I would say about 3 to 6 months, maybe a year tops, that historically Black Americans would have got this money up. And I'm not talking out of my ass. This is something that I know. Okay. When it came down to, what was the name of this bank? The United Reformers. They created a bank in 1899. And there was a bank scare, a bank run, where none of the white banks in Richmond, Virginia had any money. And the Richmond School Board they went to all of the different white banks and they couldn't get any funding. However, they went to Reverend Brown, I want to say his name was. They went to him in the United Reformers Bank and was able to get a loan. Adjusted for inflation would have been in the millions. That's one Black American institution that was able to do that. And that was based upon, of course, the collective pooling of the resources and the cooperative economics and all that other stuff. But this is in 1899, late 19th century, that they were able to get this money up, maintain it. And we talk about mutual aid societies. We talk about life insurance companies. We talk about Black American financial institutions of every sort historically funding all so much of what's going on in Black America. And so this type of ambition should be rewarded way more than a lot of stuff that gets rewarded in this community. You dig what I'm saying? So that's King Randall. Make sure you follow him. Make sure that you are supporting him with your dollars, your time, your retweets, all of that. He's important. He's integral to the Black American community, and we need more and more like him, because the success of King Randall, what that does is it now incentivizes other young men and other young women to do something similar. We talked about Annie Turnbull Malone and her Poro College. Poro College was this huge campus, this huge building that housed everything under the sun, that helped these predominantly Black American or Black women students graduate with a whole bunch of skills. So again, these types of institutions of education, these types of institutions of furthering the economic, growth of a particular area. He's turning his childhood home into a group home, and he's turning, I guess it was an old restaurant into a laundromat. Both of these are going to be generating revenue. And if King Randall, who has shown himself to be a steward with money, I would trust him. I would trust him with my money. I have trusted him with my money. And if he says he's going to turn that building or that restaurant into a laundromat, I believe him. If he says that he's going to turn his boyhood, childhood home into a group home to be able to service other young boys in the community, I 100% believe him. He hasn't done anything to show me anything different. Likewise, this man right here. Let's get into the next person. You dig what I'm saying? My guy, Maj Toure. And we going to this episode, we not gonna do too much angry ranting. I want to show people that there are things that I actually do like outside of history, like that fly consistent with the historical narratives. So next up we have Maj Toure, owner of and founder of Black Guns Matter and the Solutionary University. You dig what I'm saying? And he has always been the loudest when it came to, as far as what I've seen, as far as firearm safety and civics and making sure that you actually know how to administer first aid. Uh, he also has a gym regimen that he has. It's called the Solutionary Nine. Okay, so I wanted to find one of his latest videos and not just his pin tweet because he does do great work. So let me go to his media. So make sure you guys are following these people if you haven't already. These people are doing amazing work. Shout out to Vincent in the chat. What's going on? Bird is in the chat. Memphis in the chat. What's going on, y'all? Turn up, turn up. We gonna rant. I'm gonna rant a little bit, but then I gotta get up out of here. So this is Maj Toure, and this is what he does. Not only is he, he's in the middle of the community helping young Americans, particularly Black Americans, but it's everybody. He white, black, it doesn't matter. But for the most part, he is focused on Black Americans, right? And he's actually responsible for the uptick of Black American gun ownership. He's been cited in literal Supreme Court cases. Like, he is on the ground every day helping Americans, but like I said, particularly Black Americans, be more knowledgeable about firearm safety, owning firearms, being able to protect themselves, self-defense. And again, he's going to teach you how to administer first aid. He's going to teach you how to get your body right. He's going to teach you how to get your mind right. The building that he's standing in front of in this photo is the Solutionary building that he is currently raising funds to buy outright. And again, just like King Randall, all of this stuff he's doing, he's providing it for free. When you go to that Solutionary building, you don't come out of pocket for anything unless you want to donate to the cause. But the classes are free. Everything that he offers people are free. And when you have these Black men and women who are doing everything in their power to empower the next man and the next woman, these people shouldn't have to fundraise for too long. One of the things that Maj Toure told me, what's going on? What is he saying here? And I'll tell you what Maj told me.
This is your future. Every man, woman, child that comes to this planet that's watching this video right now is going to end up in the cemetery. Now, even though that's the reality for all humans, most people never prepare for this ultimate reality. And that translates in their life. They don't prepare for if someone gets in a car accident. They don't prepare for if I'm in an imminent threat situation. They don't prepare for how do I train with this firearm that I just purchased. They think it's a talisman that's going to protect them from all of the spooky things. If that's you, and you know that is in the heart of your hearts, go over to solutionaryuniversity.org, register for our upcoming classes on Stop the Bleed, on imminent threat, on basic firearm safety and training. The responsibility and protection of being prepared is up to you. Are you up to the task? My name is Maj Toure, founder of Black Guns Matter and the Solutionary Center. I'll see you in class.
This is what I'm saying, yo. These people are on the ground every day, motivating, educating, and inspiring people. And all they need is us. All they need is us. They need us to support them. So I was talking to Maj, and he was basically telling, because I asked him, like, yo, bro, like, how do you stay encouraged? Real rap. Like, how do you stay encouraged when you got, people who got bread? Like, them personally. Like, yo, like, just tell me. And he was just like, yo, son, I can't give up. I can't give up. And he's so dedicated to the cause that it be like he be flying to a detriment to himself sometimes. Like, he said it on multiple occasions, like, yo, I'm sacrificing time with my family. I'm sacrificing my own Mental health in a lot of cases. I remember he did 90 days inside of an RV as a campaign to raise more funds. Like, these men and women are going out of their way to make sure that they're being a help to the community, yo. And this is what I be talking about. I'm not trying to argue with decent people about indecent things, because there's men like King Randall and Maj Toure going out of their way to reverse the crime, reverse the degeneracy. So instead of you learning how to shoot in the woods somewhere, shooting at bottles, and you don't have a proper instructor there, and you could potentially harm yourself, or you don't do any practice and you out there with an illegal gun doing illegal things with the gun, how about you come to my class so I can show you? First of all, we don't want you to disqualify yourself from legally being able to purchase a firearm and to protect yourself. Because in the areas that we are talking about, you do have to protect yourself. You do. And even if you in a quiet suburb that has little to no crime, you still need to be able to protect yourself, because those places are still, you're still able to interface with criminals. You're still able to interface with, like he said, imminent threat. So you still need to be prepared, no matter where you are in this world. And so these men are going out of their way. I need to put these black boys into places that are going to be positive, so they don't go into a life of degeneracy or a life of crime or a life of violence and stuff like that. Maj and King Randall come from places where that is common. I come from these similar places. And what we have been seeing is that, unless we are getting in front of it and preventing it from actually taking hold of the youth, which then turns into taking hold of the older people, in their late teens, early 20s, and even going into their 30s, there needs to be proactivity involved. And I promise you, when it comes to King Randall and it comes to Maj Toure, they don't sit there and deny that racism exists. They don't sit there and deny that there's corrupt government, corrupt politicians and stuff like that. But as you can see, neither one of them are petitioning the government. They're petitioning us. They're petitioning the people, because they know that is where this stuff starts and ends. I grew up with the saying, even with me doing the bad stuff that I was doing, that it all starts in the home. And that's always going to be true. Your foundation, that's where it comes from. Your personal ethos that I was talking about, your morals, values, ethics, and beliefs, that all comes from your household. It starts in your household. Now, you may get a couple gems or a few gems outside of your house, which is dope. I tell y'all about Hev all of the time, the guy that took me in, worked in the store since I was 13 years old and worked there for years. He dropped gems on me daily. You feel me? I used to work there 13 hours a day as a kid because I didn't like going to school. So I worked in this store from 9 to 10 every day, getting as much positive game that I could from him. And he imparted a lot. He reminds me a lot of like Maj and King and all of them. But what I'm saying is, it's always going to be a communal effort. It's always going to be a community effort, because in the same way that when people say, what you do with $100 is the same thing that you're going to do with $1,000, the same thing that you're going to do with $10,000 or $100,000, it's largely true. So again, if we start to just inject a whole bunch of money into particular places and then not properly allocating it, or properly allocating it but then don't focus on the issues that's on the ground, then we're not going to see any progress. If I spend however much money to build, like King Randall was doing, $10 million to build an institution or whatever that may not address, like how King Randall was addressing, the black boys and stuff like that, and being able to impart positive things. If I'm putting all of this money in there, right, and then there's still an element in that community that's going to vandalize it, try to hinder progress and stuff like that, we got to handle that as well. And so how you handle that is the overwhelming amount of support coming from these areas. These people who are standing on business literally and being like, King Randall, we're behind you. Maj Toure, we're behind you. This is what can we do to help? That is what you need happening at the same time, simultaneously. That's extremely important. You see what I'm saying? And that's exactly what Maj, King Randall, and men like them are pushing for in the community. So again, that's Maj Teray. It's Maj Teray 999 or 999 on Twitter. Give Send Go. Just go to the link tree. Linktree.com/solutionary. And make sure that you donate to the brother, man. He's working extremely hard, and has been for the greater part of a decade. I'm extremely proud of his work. I'm extremely proud to say that I have donated to this cause as well. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not just running my mouth. Next up, we got my sister Bees, man. Now, my sister Bees, she by far has the best, how can I say this? I don't want to say PR, but she got the best aesthetic because Bees be having it. You feel me? Bees is buying G-Wagons, rocking Van Cleef, wearing Rare Supreme, and like she's having it. You feel me? Like she a young millionaire, and she lets you know that she a young millionaire. But next to all of that flashy lifestyle that she is doing, she is encouraging countless people. I'm talking about countless amounts of people to get into tech. So yeah, she's gonna show you her lifestyle. She's gonna show you her Lamborghini. She's gonna show you her G-Wagon. She's gonna show you how she living. But she's also going to have different. She has a YouTube channel that shows and teaches people how to get into government tech and how to build wealth. Like I've been following Bees for the greater part of a decade, and she has a financial literacy book that went platinum for real on the timeline. Like she sold thousands of copies of that. Like she has been on the ground helping people since day one. You feel me? Let's see. Another VIP client landed a role with AWS, this time on their cleared side of their house. This time on their cleared side of the house, he will be getting $60,000 yearly bonus every single year for having a clearance. I help with his GovTech career strategy, resume, and interview prep. GovTech wins. Real life results. Crushed the interview last Thursday. Got the verbal go-ahead just now. Team unanimously agreed to up-level me as well. This one was a code application. That resume template definitely helps. So she has resume templates. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you tap into her world, she is going to give you all of the tools necessary for you to succeed in tech, but specifically government tech as well. Like, these people are going out of their way to help the next man and the next woman. I'm trying to tell y'all, yo, like, they don't have to. Maj Teray has a big enough profile to where he could just have a personal brand and be on TikTok selling, whatever, his merch and all of that, selling whatever you want. King Randall got a big enough profile to just stick to his own selfishness and be able to build wealth on his own. But he's like, nah, son, the black boys need me. Maj Teray is saying, yo, the community needs me. There's too much gun violence happening. And if I can do my part in educating as many people on gun firearm safety, I'm doing my part. Same thing with Bees. Okay, there's too many black Americans walking around with useless degrees, mountains of student loan debt with no clear sight on how to be able to pay it off. She's been in tech since she was a teenager, since she was in high school. Kept at it all the way into college. She was going to play ball. She realized, she just compared the salaries of a WNBA player, no shade, and what it would actually pay to be in going down the tech route. And she's already technically inclined. She also could hoop, but she just looked at the paths like, yo, I could play overseas. I could do all of this other stuff, or I can hone in the next 10 years of my life from 17 to 27 and really kick it up and build wealth for myself. And that's what she did. She became a millionaire before the age of 30. And Bees, as much as I respect and have a lot of reverence for her, it wasn't like she was a born genius or an idiot savant or something like that. No, regular girl from VA, you feel me, just was a hard worker, was focused, and made it happen for herself. She understood that her actions had reactions, had consequences, and those consequences had consequences. So she ordered her steps in a particular way from the time that she was a teenager, a late teen, to now. You feel me? And now she's picking up 6-figure roles and 6-figure jobs like it's nothing. The way she talks about picking up a 6-figure gig, like, yeah, just added 250. I just added a $250,000 a year role, and I'm gonna be able to, my travel is gonna be paid for, my room and board while I'm overseas is gonna be paid for. Like, she was like, yo, for the next for the next 2 years, I'm planning out. She already got the next 5 to 10 years of her life planned out. And then she said, like, in the next 2 years, it's about to be super lit for her. And she's deserving of all of that because she put the work in since a teenager. Same thing with King Randall. So it's just like, yo, all I'm saying is these people are coming out of the same environments as the criminals, the same environments as the degenerates. And what I want to see more of is us shouting out people like Bees, supporting people like Bees, supporting people like King Randall, supporting people like Maj Toure, supporting people like Sonny Johnson, supporting more Hotep Nation. Real rap. She's talking about all, like, she's giving you immense, countless resources, like the type of stuff that she's putting on the timeline. There's people who pay 4 figures for this type of information, and she has it for a fraction of that price, if not, if at all. Giving it for free. Her YouTube is free. Now, there's other paid things that you can, buy. But as you can see, people are landing real life-changing salary jobs off of her knowledge. We're talking over a decade of in the trade. And she's going super crazy. Multi-millionaire at 30 years old. Who else would you want to listen to about building wealth? So these are the people that I have reverence for. I have a high respect for, because they not just talking. They not just running their mouth, man. They are helping others. And I know there's countless others. There's countless others who do the same thing. And they literally just want to see their communities grow. They want to see their contemporaries and people grow. She recently had she created GovTechCon. Let's go to that page real quick. You dig what I'm saying? Mission 2025 presented by GovTech Foundation, founded by Simone Bees. 3-day GovTech conference, September 11th to the 13th. So they got one. They had one last year. They're having another one this year. Then you know what this remind me of, chat? National Negro Business League, where everybody comes from around the country or around the region, congregates and learns and builds and networks and make sure that this type of community keeps growing, and just wealth begetting more wealth. So I'm just trying to let y'all know something, man. She's doing amazing work, and you guys 100% need to tap in. It's coming up. I can't wait to see how it pans out. All right. And so those are people that I do know. Now, there is a page that I follow, and outside of the Hoteps, outside of the people that I know personally and rock with on a personal level, this is by far my favorite page on Twitter.com. My man, he don't even know he my man, Earl Landix. Earl Landix is quite literally, like, y'all know how we go through the archives and we look at 18 this and 19 that. He does those same things, just in the contemporary sense. So when we learning about a black American man who struck oil on his land and, got super rich and all of that other shit, he's showing the contemporary, the 21st century versions of this. And his page, if you are not following it, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't follow so many people that don't follow me back. Not to be bougie, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, he don't even got to follow me back. Hopefully one day he does, but it's all good. All right. But when I tell you, look at this. Building family generational wealth in Alabama, 136 acres. Let's see what they got to say.
We're part owners in the
Why is it so low?
investment part owners. Hi, I'm Chandra. This is my sister LaDonna, and we are, I guess we're part owners in the Aaron Investment Company. That's our company because we are Aaron's. And our family owns approximately, I think it's like 120 something, 30 something acres. But right now, what's in the corporation is
I
about
can't
40
really hear it,
acres,
Chad.
39 to 40 acres. And we're out here looking at starting development, potentially doing, well, we're zoned for
Turn the
residential
fan off
and
real quick.
agricultural. So we're not really sure what we're going to do just yet, but we're here getting some pictures, getting some ideas, some strategies, and just getting ready to get boots on the ground, as they say.
Yes,
Let's go, man. We super excited about this. Can't wait to see the progress out here.
yes. It's all about financial wealth,
That's right.
family,
Generational.
generational wealth. So that's it. When you look at this, that's exactly what you see. So I'm so excited to start this with
Chris.
Mr. Chris and my sister and my family
Yes.
as a part owner. So
And this is our land behind you, going down the first 40, the second 40, and somewhere going the other way. But it's pretty much flat land. It's not hilly, and it's a great spot. So we're just grateful that our great grandfather Felix Aaron left this to our family.
All right, man. So we're excited. We're gonna have
So
a great
again, is going back to what I was saying. Like I didn't even know this family, had this land passed down to them, but I thought he just bought 136 acres. Acres. Either way, it's amazing. It's even more amazing now that this is actually coming from the same generations that we be reading about in the archives and stuff like that. So this acreage, 136 acres, was passed down over the past century. I would have to at least, believe like a century and some change. We're talking about great grandfather of people who are, let's say, in their 30s, 40s. You dig what I'm saying? So we're talking about their parents, parents, parents. So this is more than likely been passed down for at least 100 years, right? And now they have it, and now they're going to build upon it. You dig what I'm saying? And that's just one of the pieces of content that Earl be having on here. It's 100% positive, and I appreciate it. Let's see what this guy's doing.
Everybody, we are out here in Eastern North Carolina. This is a piece of the original 49 and a half acres that my family had down here in Eastern North Carolina. This particular tract I inherited from my father, and this is my story, stewarding what was given unto me. So wanted to try to capture the moment. It's been a long, and if y'all can see the sweat on my face, hot day, but we're getting through it. We're getting the house down now. And yeah, man, just wanted to share my journey. I thank God for y'all tuning in, and stay tuned. God bless. Man, so I am out here on what was originally my great grandfather Calvin Lane's land. It's 49 and a half acres that he was deeded in 1934. Got my dad back here. It's a complex history, man, to say the least. And I'm grateful that we could. I'm grateful that we can go back and see the graves. My dad hasn't seen them. Found out there's like 50-some people buried back there. It was a historical black and enslaved people's cemetery. And my great-great-grandfather, my third great-great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather's back there too. But we just went and saw my third great-grandfather who actually had a gravestone back there. He had a little change for his day, for sure. Complex history, but still fresh and more to talk about. God bless, man. Y'all take care.
Yo, that's what I'm saying. So again, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to Black American history. First and foremost, as we can see, we are 2 for 2 now with people having inherited land from the ancestors, from their direct ancestors. So he's on dozens of acres. The people before him was on over 100 acres. So again, and one he said something that was very profound that I really really like. He said being a steward with the land. It was passed down to him, and it's now his job to be a steward on the land. So all of the things, good and bad, you have inherited it all, and now you are responsible for this land. And as you can see, he's extremely excited and proactive with the building of it. And he even has his father still walking the land with him. He said he was able to, visit the gravesite for his ancestors on his land. I have my family's land is in Wilmington, North Carolina. I want to say it's about 50 acres. I want to go out there. And it's a big, it's a Black American thing, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like when your family had a bit of paper, like he said, my great grandfather had some money, during his day. So this stuff resonates with me. My peoples is from Wilmington, North Carolina. And we got, a few dozen acres out there, you dig, and there's been conversations. We do need to have that family meeting about it, because there's been conversations of turning a portion of the land into like a B&B. It's right off the highway and stuff like that. Of course, I want to get into the agricultural side of it to be able to just supply produce not only for the family but also for commercial reasons. Last time I checked, it was fertile land. So yeah, man, like it's not uncommon for Black Americans to have large swaths of acreage in their lineage. And you got jokes. What's this one? Black American Lily Andrews studying aviation science to become a professional pilot. Let's see what she has to say.
I'm a student pilot. I will be attending Elizabeth City State University in the fall to study aviation science, and I am applying to the Make a Pilot Scholarship because aviation is not an easy journey financially, but it is one that I am committed to. My mission is to become a professional pilot and to inspire young aviators who look like me. My aviation journey started my junior year in high school when I soloed at 10 hours in a Cessna 172 at Luke Weather Solo Flight Academy in Olive Branch, Mississippi. And from there, that fueled my passion for aviation even more. And now I am here after finishing my senior year, working 3 jobs. And I am just so blessed to have this amazing opportunity to come here and not only get my degree in aviation science, but to have the opportunity to fly 3 days a week. So for the young aviators who are inspired by me, please follow for more updates on my aviation journey.
That's what's up. Again, so I don't want y'all to ever think that I'm over here like, oh, the ancestors and the ancestors only. Nah. We got the youths. We got people our age. We got people older. We have people in the 21st century in America right now doing amazing things. We're not going to sit here and act like they're not. So while I do, and y'all know I do, love history, and I love looking back at the ancestors and all of the amazing things that they've accomplished and stuff like that, I would be remiss if I did not put y'all on to just contemporary people right now in the 21st century going crazy. So let's see, 36-year-old married dad of 3 visitors, 94-year-old great-great-grandmother in Arkansas. It's a heartfelt moment. That's another thing. Like, everything positive Black America you're going to see on Earl Landick's page, man. Shout out to Earl. What's this? Black Americans enjoying themselves, Teoki weekend in Tatum's, Oklahoma. More Black American culture, customs, tradition. Yeah, the cowboy culture is inherently Black American. I mean, the name cowboy is Black American. You feel me? What else we got? Black American cattle rancher Nathaniel Bradford in Central Oklahoma on what he's going to say when his unborn son asks him, "Dad, why are you keeping these old cows?" Let's see.
What's happening, everybody? This is Rancher Nate, man. I'm out here feeding some cows today. I just had a quick story I want to talk to y'all about, something I thought about on the way here to feed my cows and while I was feeding. I said, man, one day I'm going to have a son, and he's going to ask the question, why are you keeping those old cows, Dad? And I'm going to say, man, honestly, it's because they got me started. You know, I was able to get my first piece of property in real estate because of the cows. I got in the cow game because of real estate, and I also grew up on a ranch. And so I wanted to continue the legacy, but I also wanted to gain real estate, and that was my reason for it. But these girls right here are making it happen, and I truly do appreciate them. I try to take care of them the best as I can, and, you know, and then I enjoy it. I enjoy watching them raise calves, watching them do their thing year in and year out. They go down, trying to take care of them. And, you know, we lost a couple along the way, and that's just a part of it. That's gonna happen. Some things you cannot stop. But I'm going to look back and I'm going to say, man, I got that first piece of property over in that area because of those cows. And so I have a different appreciation for them because of that reason. So I don't plan on ever getting rid of any of these cows, honestly. They'll probably die on the ranch to keep it a buck. But yeah, I'm out here enjoying this weather, even though we need to get some hay done, getting a little wet. But man, I just had to share that story with y'all, you know, because I thought it was neat and a conversation I hope to have someday. So, but y'all stay blessed. We're going to get out of this rain.
So, again, this is another common theme. It's that these are forward-thinking people. These are people with foresight. Doesn't have a son just yet, but is thinking about the conversations he's going to have with him based upon the land that he has and the occupation that he holds. And again, man, like, this is what I know Black American culture to be. This is what I know the Black American ethos to be. Everything that we've scrolled past, all of the things that we go over on stream: education, the young lady becoming a pilot; family, the man visiting his 94-year-old mother or grandmother in Arkansas; owning land and being able to be self-sufficient. All of these farmers and all these landowners that we're seeing, they are continuing the traditions of Black American culture, and that is the reason why I stand on the squares that I stand on. Black American traditionalism is what got us here, chat. The principles, the morals, the values, beliefs, the ethics. This is what brought Black America to its highest point. Period. So while I understand that there are going to be certain things or certain actors in our traditions that we don't like, the abusive men who are able to get away with a lot, the predatory preachers who are able to get away with a lot, the abusive mothers that are able to get away with a lot, or were able to get away with a lot. There are certain bad actors inside of the traditions that 100% had a negative effect on the culture or on their family or whatever. But to think that we need to throw the baby out with the bathwater because of some bad actors is insane, especially when the alternative to these traditions are to subscribe to a bunch of carnal, secular things that have never helped anybody, ever. Unless you are willing to, sacrifice having a family, willing to sacrifice ownership, willing to sacrifice, real prosperity in the name of aesthetics or in the name of it looking or feeling like you're actually free, then you are not really the type of person that's going to be getting into the positive stuff. If you're willing to sacrifice family, sacrifice all of this other stuff in the name of materialism or in the name of things that are not going to enrich your soul, enrich your life for real, then you're really not my people. And that's the reason why I bang on the bad behavior the way I do, but you're never going to see me argue with somebody who's entrenched in backward thinking or alternative from what I believe that I believe is detrimental. You're not going to see me, arguing with these people. But that's the reason why I don't like when I'm left arguing with people who are supposed to be on my side of the moral standard, my side of the cultural standard. You dig what I'm saying? But let's get to the chat. Let's see what the chat is saying. Let's see. Vincent said 12 days left for the building fund. Yes. So make sure that y'all donating to Black Guns Matter and the Solutionary Center. Glasgow says, I donate to Maj monthly. Salute, Glasgow. I wouldn't. You ain't even have to tell me. I knew you did. I would assume that. He's doing the work. I'm on board 1,000% with these guys and girls. That's a fact. Vincent with the emojis. Vincent always going to light up my chat with the emojis. Shout out to Vincent for always coming through and being consistent. Glasgow says, again, thanks for sharing the here and now with successful black people. The history is one thing, but present is another thing. That's a fact. I ain't, at the end of the day, history, those people, they already made history. Those people lived and died. Okay? Their time is up. The best thing that we can do, again, is learn from them to be able to order our steps. And as you can see, I don't think that any of the people that we watched the videos of didn't speak on somebody that came before you. I think the cattle rancher, I don't think he evoked any parents or ancestors or anything like that. But the young lady, she said she's been in aviation since junior high school. The young man with the dozens of acres, he had his father on the land. It's his great grandfather's land. The people before him, they had 136 acres, and that was inherited from the ancestors. You dig what I'm saying? So they take what the ancestors gave them, hit the ground running, and that's all I want. For Black America as a whole. That's all I want for Black America as a whole. So I do appreciate, this is a history channel, y'all. So we're going to be talking about yesteryear a lot. But I just wanted to show you that there is, right now, as we speak, great things happening in Black America. It's just that these events are not as popular as the degenerate stuff. Unfortunately, this is the stuff that should be going viral. Okay? Black people coming together, having a great time, not harming anybody, not harming themselves. This is Black American culture. And the thing is, these types of behaviors are older than the degeneracy. Were there degenerates in Black America in 1910? Yes. There were criminals, there were rapists, there were terrible people in the Black American community all throughout Black American history. There's never been a time where we were just a bunch of saints, right? There's always been bad actors. There's always been bad people. But those people were shamed. Okay? Those people were shunned. Those people were not accepted into the fold. You dig what I'm saying? Especially when we're talking about the public. Especially when we're talking about interfacing with other people. White or black, did not matter. But when you leave that house and you be acting degenerate, the community took responsibility for you. There was another thing that I was saying when it came down to the spaces that I was in with my brother Rashad. We were talking about parenting. We were talking about sons. And I forgot what the catalyst for the conversation was. Like where that came from. I forgot what it was. But it was essentially talking about like your child being their own person. And that's very much true. But you have to understand that from the time that a child is born, they're molded and shaped by their household's ethos, their mother and father, their siblings, or whatever. And when it comes down to particular things, there are going to be just innate things in your son, specifically for sons to fathers, where they're going to want to be just like you. And good men, upstanding men, solid men, they welcome that because they know they're not doing anything that they wouldn't want their son doing. So even if it's something as simple as sitting down in the same way as your father, or eating chips as the same way as your father, yawning and sleeping, and the way that you position your body while you sleep, you're going to want to do everything like your dad inherently. Whether your father is doing good or bad things, that's the person you're modeling your steps from. I know when my daughter first learned to walk, she was trying to walk like me. You dig what I'm saying? When I was teaching her ABCs and her 1, 2, 3s, she was mimicking my voice. So when I would be like A, B, C, she would be like A, B, C. Like she would try to sound like me. You feel me? And so that's how that goes. And their whole thing was like, well, your son is his own person and he's going to pursue his own things. And I'm like, yes, for sure. But his foundational ethos, his foundation rather, comes from the household. It comes from his mom. It comes from his dad. So while he may want to be a musician, an athlete, an astronaut, a doctor, a lawyer, a businessman, whatever he chooses, the way he's going to pursue that acumen, the way that he is going to approach trials and tribulation, the way that he's going to process the environments that he's in, the way that he's going to respond to different stimuli and different people, places, and things, that's going to largely be shaped in your household. And you're going to have some ancillary and external people like your grannies, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your friends at school. You're going to have different interests and stuff like that, and different influences. However, your foundation needs to be coming from your household and to be coming from people who actually give a damn about you. Because once they do that, then you may want to be a pilot. You may want to own some land. You may want to be a cattle rancher. You may want to build a school. You dig what I'm saying? King Randall, his mother was a foster mom. So he grew up watching his mother take in other little black boys, other little black kids, black girls. So that's the foundation. That's a part of him. Same thing with Maj Toure, like his family upbringing. I don't know much about it, but I know it's a tight-knit family. And I know that if anything, they were solution-based. You dig what I'm saying? Because that's just where you get from. Same thing with my mom. Same thing with my dad. I learned endless amounts of information, still to this day, from my mom and my dad. They're great people. You dig what I'm saying? They be a little stubborn sometimes, but you dig what I'm saying? Like they're good people. I come from good stock, and most of us do. That's the crazy part about it. When people get to arguing with me about the degeneracy that we see in the community, it's like, yo, you wasn't even raised like that. Because when I start listening, like we start arguing, and let's just say it's one of those like degenerate moms who like leaves their 3-year-old to take care of the 6-month-old so she can go to the club or something like that. And I'm arguing with people who don't, who weren't raised like that. And I say things like, yo, would you do that? Or they'll volunteer the information like, well, I wouldn't do it, but X, Y. It's like, what do you mean? Why do I have to argue with you and we agree that this is abhorrent behavior? Like, I don't understand that part, chat. Like, why am I having to interface with you or debate with you about stuff that we know is objectively wrong? Because if most people in the hood are not criminals, then that automatically means that the criminals who are perpetrating these crimes don't have an excuse. Now, you can say, the family, the upbringing, and all that other stuff, but again, that wouldn't be an excuse. That would be the reason why they are like this. Because 9 out of 10 people that live in high crime areas are not committing crime. So it can't just be the environment, because these people are waking up and going to sleep every day in the same ghettos and the same high crime area as you or as them, waking up, going to work, paying their bills, paying their taxes, going to church, taking care of their kids, keeping them out of trouble as much as they can, being against the degeneracy, and they live in the same high crime area as the criminals. That's choices being made. And we can't keep absolving these choices, because what will continue to happen rather is it will start to erode the culture to the point to where now you are going to have to accept crime or criminality as being a part of your culture. Now, we all know there is not a single race in this country that doesn't commit crime. You got Asian murderers, white murderers, Hispanic murderers. You got murderers of all shades and colors throughout this community. And what's happening is too much of the things that are adjacent to the criminality, or too many things that are actual criminal or things that just we shouldn't be lauding, is being lauded. And I'm not about to name a bunch of rappers' names and all this other stuff. We don't got to get into the specifics. But as we know, there are particular things in the name of blackness or in the name of being black in America or black American. These are things that we have been purporting to the outside world that, by and large, the most of us don't even get into. I tell y'all all of the time, yo. If it was, I truly believe that if it was up to Black Americans only, owning the culture, owning hip hop, owning R&B, owning jazz, owning blues, owning our artistic intellectual property, I am of the belief that we would see more of this, chat. We would see more of this type of music being played. What music is being played here? Let's see. Black American music being played. See what the energy this music is bringing these people? So we always going to be musically inclined. And I'm not sitting here saying that the gangsters that come from these neighborhoods shouldn't have a voice. But I do believe that if Black American music was strictly Black owned and controlled, gangster music, gangster raps wouldn't be at the forefront of hip hop. And nobody, no, I don't care who you are, you're not going to tell me that it's not, because y'all going to bring up the top three. You're going to bring up J. Cole, Drake, and Kendrick, and that's fine. Yes, Drake doesn't necessarily rap about gangster shit as from the perspective of a gangster, but he does get into the criminality parts of it whenever he feels like it. Kendrick has always been affiliated with Bloods. He's always been a good kid in a mad city and stuff like that. So that affiliation, he got to deal with the 1 foot in, 1 foot out. J. Cole, similar, a little bit less because he didn't grow up in the 90s LA, but Fayetteville, Vietnam, they had their own criminal element that he was adjacent to. You dig what I'm saying? And so, yes, they are, out of those three, they're going to be more of what I'm talking about, where you'll listen to a good kid, Mad City, and you won't really necessarily hear him glorifying degenerate behavior, but he is going to speak on it because those are the realities of the area and the zip code that he lived in. And he has every right to be able to express himself in that way. However, when we start getting into other names, you dig what I'm saying, who are literally, instead of me going into like the B and the C list, we can go into just like I said, the random, drill rappers, or now they're getting into more horrorcore and all this other stuff, to where like these guys are just they're not even talented for real. They have the access to a studio, which is at this point you can, even when I was making music, I never went to a formal studio. I probably went to like maybe one or two in the years that I was rapping, but I had my own home setup. You dig what I'm saying? And I rapped in my own closet and all this other stuff. And that's largely what these young dudes is doing. They rapping about the stuff that they're doing in the street, the crimes that they're actively committing in the street. So again, I don't think that music makes it to the level of popularity that it is if this was completely Black owned. But because you have external parties involved, because I tell you, I think it's a deeper conspiracy. I tend to believe that letter that went out in the early 2000s about, this nameless record executive. I think he was European. He was basically exposing the fact that there was a meeting between the record labels and the private prisons and saying that, hey, we're going to start, introducing gangster rap into the zeitgeist and getting as many people to participate in criminality so we can start filling up these private prisons and maintaining profit. And making more profit. I believe that, and it's evident in the fact that these entertainment companies, these record labels, movie studios, and all these other people have they hold shares in private prisons, and we know that private prisons has a 90% occupancy rate that they need to maintain. And what better way to influence people to get into criminality, or at least encourage them to get into criminality, you dig what I'm saying, other than the music? And I know I've heard all of the arguments on the other side. Scarface, the movie, did more than Scarface, the rapper, to me. Said I ain't to blame for all the things that happened to me. That's facts, Hove. That's facts. But to think that it had no influence over you is to be obtuse. You don't get to become God MC. You don't get to become Hova. You don't get to become the billionaire rapper without influence. You don't get to, sell millions of records without the influence. I can tell you right now, there are men in their 40s right now doing their best Jay-Z rendition. Right now, pretending like they're doing their best to act like Jay-Z. That's how influential he is. That is contemporaries. Men that are not that much younger than him are trying to emulate and pretend to be him. We just seen the video of, what was his name? Ace Bailey and his agent, Omari Cooper, playing Hove. He's clearly in his 40s, maybe even 50s, playing Hove in a Rolls Royce, making sure that you can see the double R's in the headrest and all of that. Like, perpetrating a particular persona. So again, yes, I'm happy that Hove was able to make it out of Marcy Projects off of his lyrical talent. But Hove would tell you himself, like, yo, if rapping like Common Sense was gonna make me mad bread, that's what I would have been rapping like. But the Leor Cohens and all these different record executives, they want more of the hood shit. And they're willing to pay top dollar for the hood shit, for the gangster shit. Hove was knowledgeable enough to give us 5% of raps in the 90s. But he was like, and he did. At first he did. He was talking that gods and earth stuff. He was damn near Hotep. You feel what I'm saying? Because that's when you coming up in the 70s and 80s in Brooklyn, that's who you're going to be interfacing with in the street. Grown men asking little niggas, yo, what's today's mathematics? Grown men telling you to stay woke, stay above the madness. You know, they make fun of Nas, but his messaging has been consistent in that over the decades. So while he's not as, you know, lauded as Hove, I mean, he's up there. Obviously, this is Nas we're talking about. But when it comes to like the first rap billionaire and, you know, all of that other stuff, you feel me? It's not on that same level. But Nas, he's close to a billionaire. He has investments. He has money making money. You dig what I'm saying? He just announced a casino or something like that happening in Queens. Like, so what I'm saying is, I think Black American culture would have lauded the Nas's, the Tribe Called Quest's, the KRS-Ones, the X-Clans, the Public Enemy, and all of these more, you know, non-violent, non-gangster rappers than your NWAs, et cetera, et cetera. Not to say that NWA couldn't have gone platinum or couldn't have gone gold or couldn't have found success. You know, likewise, Down South, No Limit, Rap a Lot, Cash Money, like all of these people, especially the guys in the South, because a lot of their music was independent in the first place. They were selling that out the trunk. So there is always going to be an audience for it. You coming up in the trenches, there's going to be, you know, always an audience for trench music, but understand there are people, the vast majority of the people in the trenches are not criminals. So now, what about the vast majority of the people that are not criminals that want to jam to some music? Coming from Black Americans. And that's where you get the balance. You got the Tribe Called Quest, but then you also got DMX. You see what I'm saying? You're able to have that balance, and then what that balance will then do in the culture would influence or incentivize upcoming rappers to have that dichotomy. Like a DMX has, where he can get into the gangster shit, but then also pray in the next song. Make songs like Lord Give Me a Sign and Who We Be. Who We Be is one of the most prolific songs that I know of, because he's just literally just talking about the perils and shit like that that's going on in the world, where people really don't know. They don't know. They don't really see what's really going on. And he's giving an eye-opening, you know, perspective. Slipping, songs like that. Same thing with Tupac. So it's like when you have these multifaceted, multidimensional people, it makes for better music. It makes for a better musical experience. But when we've incentivized criminals or criminality in the music, I mean criminals or criminality in the music, or criminals to make music to only further the criminality, of course, you're going to have that same level of influence that Hove and Nas and all of these different rappers, DMX, have. These upcoming rappers who are only speaking death, destruction, and mayhem have that same level of influence for the generation that's coming up under them, or, you know, growing up adjacent to them, because the rappers are getting younger and younger as the generations go on. You know, we seeing damn near toddlers rapping that gangster shit now. You know, 6, 7, 8-year-olds rapping gangster shit. You know, that whole situation that happened with Finesse 2 Times and the young dude, you know, the young kid that was with him, that young kid was rapping the most filthiest shit you talking about. He was talking about sex and all the sexual acts. This dude couldn't have been more older than 8 years old. So you can't tell me it hasn't been degenerating. That's what degeneracy does. It degenerates. And so I understand having empathy for one's background, conditioning, you know, culture, and what brings them to that. I can have empathy for it, but I don't have sympathy for it. I don't. Because there are too many people coming from these same trenches that get up every day and choose not to commit these crimes. We already talked about this on Saturday with the video saying the square dudes in the hood were actually the strong ones. The dudes who had the will and the fortitude to be like, I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into the criminality. I fell to it. A bunch of my peers fell to it because of the pursuit of profit. It wasn't because my mother was strung out on drugs or a degenerate woman. My mother been working. My mother has been a financial aid director since I knew my mother had a job. My mother has been going to church every Sunday since I was born. My mother has always been a morally, you know, upstanding person. Makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, but my mother has never been a degenerate. My mother has never been immoral. My fiber, the tapestry in which that makes me, the fabric that I am cut from, it's never been pro-degeneracy. Never. You might have a little bit of robbing Peter to pay Paul, you know what I'm saying? You know, making things stretch for the month, you know, being conservative in that regard. But no, my mother, I've never seen my mother steal. I've never seen my mother rob nobody. I've never seen my mother raise a gun up against somebody for the pursuit of profit. I've never seen my mother sell drugs. None of that. My mother has always been a upstanding person. Likewise, my father. I still chose to get into what I got into because of, like I said, the pursuit of profit. But that is not necessarily an indictment on the household that I came from. That's just me being in my own way. And then even when I did that, I knew better enough to not take it to the next level and keep committing these types of petty crimes after I turned 18, because I knew that this was actually going to come with some real jail time if I kept, you know, messing up. So while it may have been ignored for some time, a temporary amount of time, even throughout me doing bad, I was still working 13 hours a day. I was still doing just enough to stay in the street, but just enough to make sure I don't trick myself off of it. When it was time, like, I knew that I wasn't built to be a gangster because of particular things that you would have to do in the pursuit of being a gangster. I was not willing to put somebody in the trunk and kidnap them or shoot somebody that's an innocent party, or, you know, like, there's certain levels that you got to take it. What Mobb Deep say, ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. If you're going to be a crook, bro, you got to be willing to go all the way, even if it doesn't happen. Just like a police officer. A police officer has to be willing to take a life. They have to be willing to defend themselves or defend somebody else using lethal force if need be. If you are not ready to do that, then you're not built to be a police officer. Likewise, a firefighter. You have to run into a burning building. There is a high probability that you can die from that fire. If you are not willing to take that risk, don't get that job. Don't go for that job. Likewise, the military or whatever other dangerous jobs, whether it's working in the sewers, working in mines, whatever dangerous job, the windmills, the oil rigs, there's an element of danger that comes along with these jobs. And if you're not willing to take up that danger, then you're not willing to be that. And it's the same thing when it comes to becoming a gangster. Even if you, as a cop, never raise your gun and kill anybody, or a gangster, never raise your gun and kill anybody, you 100% have to be in the mindset and position to do that. I wasn't. Again, my background, my upbringing knew that I could only take it but so far. I just wanted to sell a few drugs, make some money to buy my sneakers. But I wasn't trying to take over the next man territory and be in shootouts and all this other stuff. No, I just want to sell a little weed, sell a little bit of you feel me? Make my little money, buy my Jordans, buy my, my friends, whatever, like have some walking around money. And then as I'm getting older, as the skills that I am honing as an entrepreneur, as a creative is now making me more and more money, the street life or doing illegal activity became less and less attractive to me. And then I had my daughter when I was 19 years old. So I'm definitely not about to commit crimes and trick myself off the street. But again, these are things that you have to make conscious choices in which you're doing it. And however it's made, however those decisions are made, you have to make them. You dig? So what else we got in the chat? Let's see. Vincent says, most times imagery overrides reality. Therefore, some people will never see beyond those images. Yeah, man. So I understand the power of music. I understand the power of imagery. I understand the power of repetition. I understand the power of being under the influence of particular people, particular factions, and things of that nature. And I just, like I said, I want Black America to return to what we know. It's time to come on home, figuratively and literally. You got men like my man Naeem. Naeem is one of the main proponents of people going back down south, Black Americans going back down south. I believe in that. As you guys know, I do believe that the Great Migration was a little bit overshot. Like 7 million people, like that's a lot of people. I feel like a fraction of that should have moved up north, and the majority of those people should have stayed south. And what I mean now, I'm not saying don't move at all. You don't got to stay stationary. But there is evidence that people who stayed in the South during the Great Migration and just moved about the South fared much better. And on my page, I know I have it, but it's gonna take me forever to find it. But I'm gonna open up a new tab, so I'm not showing myself scraping and scrambling and trying to find it. But yeah, there was a study done that said Black Americans who stayed South, either in their state or moved around throughout the South. So instead of moving from, Mississippi to Chicago, you would move from Mississippi to Alabama, Alabama to Georgia, Georgia to South Carolina, South Carolina to North Carolina, North Carolina to Florida. Just staying in the South, those people statistically fared much better. Just because, even if you were leaving the South for a higher pay, you now have to account for the higher expenses. So while you got paid less in the South, your living expenses was much less. So now that you're getting paid more, now that you're in Chicago or Harlem or Detroit or Philadelphia, yeah, you're technically making more money, but then your bills are much higher. So that's the reason why, I was saying what I was saying. You dig? And I believe out of the 7 million, I think if 2 million, 2.5, maybe 3 million move up north, you dig, be able to, help where you can with your Southern brethren and all of that other stuff. But yeah, that's a lot of people that left the South. I tell y'all about, when y'all talk about the people that are leaving, doctors that or potential doctors leaving second and third world countries and stuff like that, and they call it a brain drain. It's the same thing that happened in the South. You feel me? You got prominent pillars of the community in the South, in the deep South, in rural places, in cities too, but in the South, and they're the leaders, and they're leaving these places. And so that also was a brain drain and an economic drain of particular places. So, I keep it level-headed in my analysis of things. Like I said, I do think that moving up north for some people was a net positive, but I can't act like it was a net positive for everybody. Oh, I found it. All right, cool. Cool beans. All right, I found it. And just so y'all know, because I don't be wanting people, I don't be wanting y'all to think that I'm some type of anti-black all this other stuff. But here we go, right here. It's one of the tweets. I'll wait for it to load up. But yeah, we're going to be getting out of here soon. We're not going through the archives tonight. I have to go out tonight. We got things to do tonight, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So while it's loading up, check the chat again. Hove always Hove always sprinkled game in his music. That's a fact. He did. That's a fact. So here we are, right here. Here we go. So the table is summary of advantage and disadvantage experienced by interregional migrants compared with migrants within the South. So here we go. So now that hold on. Let me yeah, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Before I even played myself, it's this tab right here, and we didn't show it. So I'm glad that I caught it. Okay. So let me get right. I want y'all to see this. I'm gonna move out the way too. Yeah, I want this all to be in one frame so y'all can see that I don't be just talking bull jive, y'all. So let me get out the way. Move dubs. There we go. All right. All right. I think we're good. All right. So, summary of advantage and disadvantage experienced by interregional migrants compared with migrants within the South. Okay, and they're basing this off of employment status. Hold on, let me go here. They're basing this on employment status, income, relative income, and I forgot what this stood for. I'm sorry, y'all. It doesn't say, but I can find the study. Anyway, so here we go. Short-term benefits. So, let's go over the key. So, the minus sign represents significant disadvantage. The plus sign represents significant advantage, and the zero represents what does it say? Represents the absence of significant difference between interregional migrant groups compared with the migrants. So no difference at all. Significant advantage, significant disadvantage. Okay. All right. So short-term benefits, 1940. Okay. So this is 3 decades after the first wave. Going to the West, there was a significant disadvantage for black people. Going to the North, it was zero change at all as far as employment status. We're talking about employment status for black people. Now they also did white people on the other side. You guys can check that out. So here we go. Significant disadvantage going to the West as far as the 1940s. No change at all going to the North. Significant change as far as a significant disadvantage of employment status going to the West in 1970. Zero in 1970 going to the North as far as employment status. Long-term benefits, significant disadvantage for people in the 1950s moving to the West. Zero change for people in 1950, and then in 1980, significant disadvantage to the West and significant disadvantage to the North as far as employment status. Now, this is where most of the people are going to give you your argument from. Okay? Right here. So, short-term benefits in income to the West in 1940, nothing. However, it was a significant advantage in income to the north, and all the way down for Black America going into the 80s in both regions. So outside of 1940s to the west, Black income had a significant advantage. Okay, now you can see for white people, not so much. But anyway, now relative income. This is where we get into the, like I said, accounting for expenses, accounting for lifestyle, accounting for all of this stuff. This is where you're going to get your on the ground, how it really is. So again, you make more money. That's clear. You're making more money. But relatively, let's see what we're dealing with. To the west in 1940, significant disadvantage. No change whatsoever to the north. No change whatsoever to the west in 1970. No change whatsoever to the north in 1970. No significant difference 1950 to the west as far as long-term benefits. No significant difference to the north in 1950 for long-term benefits. And 1980, we saw a significant disadvantage to the west and a significant disadvantage to the north. And then SEI was, inconsequential all the way down. So again, chat, I'm not pulling this out of my ass. This is literally stats that are showing you that there was not much advantage for Black Americans leaving the South. And this same study concluded that there were more advantageous things going down for Black Americans who just moved within the South. So again, when it comes down to the things that I be saying, the things that I believe, the things that I be espousing on stream, on the timeline and all of that, understand, this is backed by the ancestors themselves. Like I said, this chart blew my fucking mind, son. Yeah, I was going crazy. Type my name over Great Migration. You're going to get some good stuff. Ooh. Check this one out, y'all. Check this one.
Negroes with little life looks good, but we too are being pushed by our own people. Negroes with little education, with very little skill, are moving to Los Angeles from the South at the rate of 1,600 every month, but they're not finding the promised land. They bring problems with them. Finding jobs for themselves is one, and they create new problems for those who came before.
If you recall, at our last meeting, we discussed the problem of integrated housing, and we found out that almost 1,700 Negroes are moving into Los Angeles a month. By 1970, there'll probably be 1 million Negroes in this city. And I know that people are concerned about this. They may not talk about it very often, but I certainly heard them shudder in church when he said there'd be 1 million Negroes in Los Angeles.
We shudder because we are saying, in essence, the majority of these people are not like we are. And we felt that maybe some of us felt we left the South because we were getting away from this problem. We are part of this exodus too, but we are a little maybe embarrassed by the fact that here we're going to have a mass element come in that's going to create a tremendous social problem in the community, to which we find a great deal of difficulty in relating to.
Well, I don't want to sound like a do-gooder.
Hold on. Sam, you done said it. Cast down your buckets. Hold on, we're going to finish this video. We're going to get right back into it. I hope y'all paying attention to this video. Profound stuff going on right now.
Because I really am not, and I'm somewhat of a snob. But I do think that with these people coming in who are not our intellectual equals, nor are they of our sociological bracket, they're not to be a handicap to us. They'll find their own level. Now, I do sound like a snob, but I don't mean it this way. But they're used to living a certain way, and they too might rise up above their origin and might one day be our associates.
The whole tone of this meeting is a second profession of being a Negro. And we are out here a while and we're working in our own field, and then we find out that here these same problems are following on the heels of 1,600 Negroes a month that come into Los Angeles.
1,600 a month. Could you imagine? So I should send this to Kia to put in episode 5 because it really encapsulates exactly what I'll be talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like the cultural differences, chat. The cultural differences. You had these people who have already established their communities, who already established, their ethos, and they come from the South. It's not like these people who didn't come from the South. He said, we are a part of this exodus too. However, we've established ourselves in particular places. We've already been working in our fields. And it wasn't so much that there were black people coming from the South. It was that the culture, or the issues rather, that they brought with them. So they're not as educated. They're not as educated. They're more prone to do things that will be considered tacky or tactless or raunchy. You dig what I'm saying? And these people, she said, I'm somewhat of a snob, and I know you're gonna call me a do-gooder and all this other stuff, but these are decent people. Again, having discussions about what they are going to do about their counterparts being, migrating up north, and this is just LA. 1,600 people a month, fam. I don't think y'all even can conceptualize that for real. Like every 30 days, almost 2,000 more people live in your city. 2,000 more people live in your area. And we're not even acting like these places weren't segregated. They were. So they're being jammed into these places. That was another part of the Great Migration that I did talk about in the was migration a mistake? Was integration a mistake video. You guys go check that out. But these are real issues, fam. Like, we are college educated or got trades or own businesses or whatever it is. We are doing everything that we can to make sure that we're doing the right thing as far as America is concerned, as far as Black America is concerned, all of this fly stuff. And then we have an element of people who look just like us behaving completely different from us. And now we're being lumped in with all of this. And I'm going to let you know, these issues have been going on for the entire 20th century. Like a little bit in the late 19th century, but really ramping up in the 20th century, especially because of Jim Crow. You'll have people of this ilk, higher class people.
Life looks good, but we...
people of higher classes or whatever, believing that Jim Crow laws were like a punishment to them because now they're being grouped in with the lower caste of Black America and stuff like that, the least educated, the least functional, and all this other stuff. And that's why I be telling y'all about agency and autonomy. People had the agency and autonomy to be bums. They had the agency and autonomy to be relatively, useless people. Like, I'm just being honest. But the lady was saying, I believe that they have the ability to rise above their origins just like us. And she sounds like, or they sound like, a lot of what I was talking about, the doctor that wrote the book in 1877 and saying that, Black Americans are the one to blame for a lot of their condition. Like, you have to take responsibility. I was telling them in the spaces earlier today, like, is it Black Americans' fault that they were enslaved? No. Was it their responsibility to rise up out of slavery? Yes. Was it Black Americans' fault that the black codes were enacted? No. Was it Black Americans' responsibility to rise above that? Yes. Was it Black Americans' fault that Jim Crow laws were enacted? No. Was it Black Americans' responsibility to rise above that and fight against it? Absolutely. So, was it these people's fault that the elements coming up, the issues of the elements coming up? Well, it's not their fault, but it is. They took it upon themselves, being the upper classes, the more educated people, to, hey, we are responsible for these people. So when it comes down to outlooks, you have to understand, y'all, that we're going to have these clashes. We're going to have these misunderstandings, but we can't be so blind to the facts because of how that may make you feel. We're past feelings at this point. We have to keep it all the way 100. You dig what I'm saying? So we're gonna get more into this. I won't be streaming tomorrow. Be super busy all day tomorrow. I might find some time. I may not. But you already know Medicine is Tuesday nights for me. Um, I really do appreciate you guys. I do love the long streams. You already know I ain't got no problem rocking with y'all for 4 hours. You know what I'm saying? Can't see it. Did I show you? I can't. Mr. X say you can't see the video. Oh wait, y'all can't hear me. Yo, can y'all hear me? Let me know if y'all can hear me. You testing. Let me know in the chat. Let me know if y'all can hear me. You. Hopefully it didn't mess up the play. Won't mess up the playback. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I appreciate you guys tapping in. This was a more of a. All right, there we go. Yeah, this was more of a short stream. It's only 2 hours tonight. Appreciate it. I'm glad we got it together. But this was more of a short stream tonight. I wanted to tap in with y'all. Like I said, the name of the game is consistency. You know, I don't know why I was acting like that, y'all. I don't know. Here we go. Cliff Plan says, sound is better. Good info always, bro. Architectural designer and development planner checking in from Houston. Holla at me and collab. I'm going to let you know, Cliff, I never use the word collab. I hate it. I hate the way it sounds. But we can collaborate. We can collaborate for sure, brother. For sure. I appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. We will be more consistent. I'm promising. I'm holding myself accountable. Real rap. This is what you can do. Not to say that this is your responsibility. You dig what I'm saying? But if you really do enjoy it, I do be in my own way sometimes. And just to have people being like, yo, bro, come on, hop on stream tonight. Like sometimes I might need that. You know what I mean? Not saying that it's necessary or whatever. So let me say I don't need it, but I would like it. I would like for being like, yo, we still on for the night? Like we streaming tonight, bro? Like, you know, just put it out there, man. I like to have that, you know what I mean? But I am on my own accord and my own merit am going to be more consistent. Last week was crazy. My internet as it pertains to the streaming was crazy. But I think we good now. So yes, we are going to be this week. Like I said, Tuesday is not gonna be good, but I got some interviews coming up. I'm gonna be interviewing my guy. Let's put him on real quick. My guy Val. That's my guy. He's another historian, but he's focuses strictly on the streets. He focuses strictly on the streets and the underworld. He does an amazing job, by the way. He has a dope ass podcast that I've been listening to. The Infamy Pod. So check him out. He has a great podcast. Like I say, he goes over like the street legends, and it's a true crime podcast and stuff like that. The audio quality, the audio production of this is amazing. Look, so we got Michael Jamal Warner here. I don't even know who he's standing with, but this is the type of stuff that he uncovers, right? So we're talking. I don't think he goes pretty much. He doesn't really go past like 50 years from today. He stays in that realm, 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. That's where he usually stays. He may go back to the 60s and stuff, but for the most part, it's 80s, 90s, a little bit of the 2000s as well. 70s, 80s, and 90s for the most part, though. Great page. Make sure that you give him a follow as well. That's my guy. I'm gonna be interviewing him this week. So look out for that. It'll probably be like Thursday or something like that. And then I also am going to be doing a Sunday Spaces with a woman who does like every Sunday morning. She has like a space, so I'm gonna be tapping in with her, dropping my historical gems over there. Of course, I'll keep you guys posted on both of those. But yeah, so this is how you can rock with me. As always, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Hotep History. I'm going to be uploading these streams onto there because one of the things that I found out is that streaming, like the way I was doing it for the book club, it can work, but sometimes it has an issue. So what I'm going to do is I'll stream and then just upload it to Patreon for you guys to watch at your leisure. All right. So I think that's about it. I appreciate you guys for always tapping in with me. You guys are amazing. Always remember, y'all, you can't have the future without the present, and you can't have the present without the past. And we don't study history to live in the past, but to order our steps in the present so we can positively affect our future. I appreciate everybody that comes through and checks out the stream. Make sure you guys, come to HotepCon. There we go. Come to HotepCon. That's what I was forgetting. HotepCon, Savannah, Georgia. Okay? September, I keep forgetting. Heather gonna kill me. I keep forgetting. That's my memory, y'all. I'm sorry. But just look up HotepCon. Let me see if I can find it. I do need to be better at the promotion. Let's see. There we go. There we go. I knew I wasn't tripping. So what you want to do is go to hotepnation.com/HotepCon. All right. And this is what you'll see. September 12th to the 14th. I keep forgetting. I want to say the 11th just because it's September 11th. But tell me y'all can see this. Yeah, y'all can see this. All right. Hold on. All right. Yeah. So HotepCon 2025, ladies and gentlemen. Savannah, Georgia. Get your tickets now. I'm gonna be there. You're gonna pull up on Hotep Dubes, man, and chop it up with me, man. Ask me a whole bunch of history questions. Bring your conspiracy theories. You feel me? Hold on. Let me get my handsome self back here. There we go. So make sure that you guys are tapping in with the Hoteps, man. We're gonna have a great time that weekend. I can't wait to see you guys. Don't be shy. I'm not a shy person. I'm very extroverted. So we're going to turn up. If you are a turn-up type of person, you're going to turn up with President Hotep. You get to tell your babies, tell your grandkids that, I partied with Hotep Dubes. Me and him was chopping it up for 2 hours about the Great Migration, and he told me all of this type of stuff and all of that. Like, yeah, we're going to have a good time in Savannah, man. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be cooking out. We're going to have a great time. So let's check out the chat. Glasgow, 12th to the 14th. Peace, Dubes. He also says, wish I could come through Savannah. I was there last week for a work conference, but this new home is kicking my pockets. And, man, listen, I am not mad at you, Glasgow. I totally understand, brother. You see, I ain't even get a haircut yet. So, I totally understand, man. I totally understand. But you're going to be there in spirit, Glasgow. You're going to be there in spirit. I am going to do Hotep History Live from there. We got to do it. I know Unc and HJ are going to do it. I'm going to crash day stream for sure. So, yeah, we're going to be streaming. We're going to be having a whole bunch of stuff, man, going on. And I can't wait. I miss fellowshipping with my fellow Hotep. I didn't go to HotepCon or the Grifties last year. So, I'm on notice. You know what I'm saying? They might impeach me if I don't make it to the HotepCon this year, man. So we can't have that. So I will be there. So we're going to do the outro one more time. Remember, you can't have the future without the present, and you can't have the present without the past. And we don't study history to live in the past, but to order our steps in the present to positively affect our future. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, Hotep and Bill.